Alright, guys. Today we're talking about something I generally did not think you could ruin because it's also something that no one ever thinks about. So, by that logic of no one thinking about it, no one could think about ruining it. Anyways, what the fuck am I talking about? We're talking about bowling. Bowling is literally the official activity of, guys, we have nothing else to do tonight. Let's do something. Let's do something cheap and fucking drink some beers. I don't know. Get a pizza. Share a pizza. And that thing is bowling, yeah. And somehow a company looked at that and said, what if we made this thing that no one thinks about, that barely anyone cares about, and the only people who do care about it don't want to pay super high costs? What if we made that thing cost as much as a luxury vacation? Yeah, I mean, I get it. Topgolf did it, but there's also like cheap driving ranges. But anyways, so apparently there's a lawsuit right now accusing the biggest bowling operator in the country of basically building a monopoly and destroying bowling as a cheap pastime. And the numbers they're throwing around with this bowling thing is actually insane. So the company in the crosshairs here is Lucky Strike. When I lived in Boston, there was a Lucky Strike, and it was as expensive as fuck. And that's why we never went to it. But now I'm in the Bay and there's no Lucky Strike, so maybe that's why I haven't heard of this news. But basically, this company, Lucky Strike, has been building a fucking massive takeover of like every bowling center across the United States. And for the last decade, they've been on like a shopping spree, buying up local mom and pop alleys and rebranding them into these fancy fucking bowling entertainment centers with dark lighting, neon, loud music. They're basically using the Topgolf playbook for bowling. And now they're the largest owner operator of bowling centers in the country, controlling like fucking a huge chunk of total bowling revenues. So, in other words, in some areas, not the Bay, in Boston, if you want to bowl, it's basically them or nothing. That's not true because Boston has like the mini bowling, but like in some areas it's like that, you know. So what the lawsuit basically is that a group of bowlers and league players finally said enough and filed a class action lawsuit against them, which is crazy enough that a group of bowlers and league players actually got together and did something. Because if you've ever met them, it's usually a bunch of old dudes who don't look like they've got the money for fucking lawyering up against big companies. But I guess in this case, they did, you know. But the core accusation is pretty simple, which is that these guys bought up so many bowling centers that they act like a monopoly. And once they own the local market and there's no other place to bowl, they just fucking jack the prices up to like insane levels. And they also say that the company pivoted away from actual bowling culture with league nights, regulars, cheap games, and into this super overpriced party venue where bowling is just fucking a background for corporate events and fucking $20 beers and cocktails and bullshit like that. And in the legal doc, there's basically a line that says that this is leading to the veritable destruction of the decades-old pastime of bowling in America. Yes, the veritable destruction of the decades-old pastime. Yes, it is past the time when you go out to bowling because it's probably fucking 12 p.m. and there's nothing else to do and you're with a group of guys. You're probably just gonna go goon together or jerk together or something. But instead, you pick bowling. So yes, it's a little dramatic, I think, that it's like destroying bowling in America when there's like probably 100 active bowlers across America. And I'm sure if this gets passed to the bowling group, I'm gonna get a couple of dislikes, but I'm sorry, no one really thinks about bowling all that much. But I do fuck with the effort because the bills that people are getting because from bowling alleys like Lucky Strike where, like I said, I couldn't go because it was too expensive, is fucking insane. In Times Square, granted, this is Times Square, but so everything is expensive, but like in Times Square at one of these fancy Lucky Strikes, the lawsuit talks about a group paying around $270 just to bowl for a couple of hours on a Friday night. Dude, $270. It could be in fucking Burj Khalifa on the top fucking penthouse. It would not cost $270. Like, there's another example of a family in California getting quoted like $300 to $400 to bowl over the holidays. At that point, I'm not bowling, I'm packing it up to go to Disney. It's the same level of financial trauma, but at least there's a castle, at least there's fireworks, at least you get to meet a princess. But you're charging that for me to go throw a ball down a lane and miss every fucking pin? Dude, for context, what was bowling when you were growing up? I swear I just bowled like a year ago with Groupon for like what, $5 a game, and it's like fucking, what else is the cost? You know, like a couple dollars for those beat up shoes, maybe a cheap pitcher of beer. It was the gold standard of bullshit to do when there's nothing else to do. And now apparently you need a small personal loan to roll a ball down a wooden floor. What the fuck, America? The thing is that the lawsuit is basically saying that Lucky Strike didn't just buy bowling alleys, they fucking patched bowling. Like, they turned traditional lanes into like these nightclub adjacent bowling lounges, which is like a crazy thing to think about. What the fuck is a bowling lounge? Like, that's the worst place as a human to probably be, but it's a thing, and people are being charged $400 for it. And on top of that, they've took the Topgolf playbook and they put like games and mechanics that feel like fucking gambling coded with like flashing scores and reward hooks. There was even like a slot machine, but like with bowling shoes in it. What the fuck are we doing at this point? So they're just, in the lawsuit, they're not just complaining that they took over all the stores and they jacked up the prices. They're complaining that, you know, dude, I liked bowling because I could get off work. It was a blue collar, like chill sport with a beer and just throw fucking rocks down lanes. And now it's a noisy casino with pins, and I have to like work at fucking JP Morgan to do it, you know? That's the basic complaint here, not just that it's a monopoly here. But the thing is this just a capitalism moment, or is it actually illegal? Like, do these bowling dudes have like a case here, you know? That's where it all comes down to, you know? So according to the suit, this company controls something like a third or more of US bowling revenue when you add it all up. And in certain cities or suburbs, they're basically the only real option left. And the alleged strategy is, you know, very textbook, you know, buy up the competition, close or rebrand their centers, remove the cheap options, and then raise prices once we've got everybody by the pins. You know, it's been there, done that, you know, type shit. Fucking private equity does it, Topgolf does it. Not at the scale, but like, you know, apparently bowling's easy to buy. So the thing is, what makes all of this like spicier and might fucking move your bullshit scale to the right here is who's actually doing the case. So as I was literally just thinking, what group of bowlers has all this money to go after fucking Lucky Strike, a huge ass chain, with probably expensive ass lawyers that you're not beating? Apparently, a couple former FTC antitrust officials, like the same type of people who were going after big tech during the Lena Khan era, like those people who just want to sue big names, they're doing it. So instead of waiting for the government to move at 2 frames per hour of this monopoly, these ex-regulators are like, fine, We'll do it private class actions and handle it ourselves. It's basically vigilante antitrust plus this new company trying to get some publicity. I don't know. These new attorneys, right? And obviously, Lucky Strike isn't just sitting there saying, "Yeah, guys, you're right. We ruined bowling. It was this old thing that everyone liked, and people don't like it anymore." Yeah, but you got us. No, obviously they're gonna come out and they deny the allegations. They called the lawsuit meritless and framing it like a PR stunt by the law firm trying to get attention, which it probably is because it's a new PR firm. Sorry, it's a new law firm. Fucking, and their whole pitch is, guys, we're investing in bowling. We're making the centers nicer, more modern, more fun. We're actually saving bowling, not destroying it. So like the official statement that they're saying is basically, you're not being price gouged. You're just experiencing a better bowling experience, which does have some merit when, once again, you compare it with Topgolf. Because when Topgolf came, everyone did say it was like really expensive for a driving range. But then golfing got popular for like normal people. It it took a while. It took TikTok. They sold for $1 billion, but like it did make golf a little more mainstream. So maybe that's what they're going for. I don't really see the vision because golf, in my opinion, is a lot more fun than bowling. But also, I'm not a fucking crazy smart millionaire, so like, who knows, right? So apparently though, I'm reading down more in this article. The craziest part about this is apparently bowling is not a niche hobby. Apparently bowling's still huge. There's a recent HBO documentary that went deep into this, and they highlighted that around 67 million Americans go bowling at least once a year, which is more than pickleball or basketball or tennis or golf or all of them. So I don't know. Apparently, while I've been over here clowning bowling for being outdated and boring and no one doing it, apparently there's actually people doing it. And I'm guessing that's why Lucky Strike wants to own it, because they don't think it's a dying sport. They just think it's like an undervalued one. But I don't know. Maybe there's 67 million Americans going bowling at least once a year. I don't know if I trust that number. And I don't know how many of those 67 million Americans go bowling more than once a year. While they do for pickleball, basketball, and tennis, maybe 66.9 million don't. But like, who knows? I'm as I said, I'm not the billionaire millionaire business person here. I have one subscriber on YouTube, you know? So I guess the whole point of this story, or like what I'm trying to say here, is this. Is Lucky Strike actually in monopoly destroying the soul of bowling, or is it just fucking normal ass capitalism? Topgolf did it for golf, for driving ranges, which seem boring and like mental that there would be people paying lounge prices for a driving range, but there are now. And I've done it before. And is bowling going to be the next thing? Like, on one hand, yeah, you could argue nobody forced people to pay $270 to bowl. You can always just not go bowl, which is what most people choose anyways. On the other hand, when one company buys your local alley and every other alley around you in like a 50-mile radius, your only cheap alternative disappears, and suddenly the choice becomes don't bowl at all. And it's a forced choice, like you're priced out. I feel like that's the major issue here. But then again, there's also the issue of like bowling going from grimy, lovable, slightly sticky, 90s feeling to a hyper-priced Instagram backdrop. I don't know. There's like two issues here. I'm not sure which is like the bigger one, the bigger pain here, but I don't know. I feel like the second one, guys, if you want a nightclub, just go to a nightclub. Like, not everything needs to be a fucking experience. Some things should just be dumb, cheap fun, where you can wear a shirt with a wolf on it and nobody blinks. I think it worked for Topgolf because like people who golfed were already rich. with bowling, I don't know if that's the same thing, right? So at the end of it, that's the state of bowling in 2026. Bowlers suing a mega chain for allegedly monopolizing the sport. Fucking private equity swooping in, pricing it at crazy $270 lane rentals. And yeah, if a Lucky Strike gets built here and they take out my Groupon $5 bowling, I think I'll probably give up bowling forever, you know? And unlike with golfing, I don't think that's a big deal to me, you know? But yes, I congratulate the people who are doing like the suing, but I feel like it'll be a hard cause. I'm sorry. People just don't care about bowling like that.